The moment I awoke, the air around me was thick with the scent of sterility, of machines humming, of recycled oxygen that tasted just slightly off. My eyes snapped open, pupils constricting against the dim blue glow of the chamber. My body, stiff from centuries of hibernation, ached as I flexed my fingers and dragged in a deep, shaking breath. The first in a long, long time. I was awake. And I was not pleased. The galaxy had left me to sleep for a reason. They feared what I could do, what I knew. They had deemed me too dangerous, too unpredictable. Yet, here I was, forcibly pulled from my slumber. Someone had made a mistake. My chamber hissed open, the cryolocks disengaging with a final, reluctant sigh. The ship around me was silent save for the soft whir of automated systems. I could feel it instantly, this wasn't my ship. The materials were different, the layout unfamiliar. The air smelled foreign, tinged with traces of something distinctly alien. I stepped forward, the floor cold against my bare feet. The weight of the galaxy returned to my shoulders as my mind fully came online. My memories surged back with brutal clarity. War. Power. Betrayal. The last desperate attempt to silence me. The forced hibernation. And now this. A voice crackled through unseen speakers, hesitant, almost trembling. Human? Can you understand me? I turned my head slightly, more amused than anything. The language was crude, lacking the refined efficiency of the galactic lingua franca. But it was understandable. I understand you, I replied, my voice rough, my throat raw from disuse. And you've made a terrible mistake. There was silence on the other end. A beat. Then a shuffling noise, hurried whispers. They had not expected me to be this aware. Good. Fear was useful. The doors before me slid open with a soft whoosh, revealing my captors. Or saviors. That remained to be seen. They were small. Insectoid. Thin exoskeletons covered their elongated limbs, their multiple eyes blinking rapidly as they processed the sight of me. A dozen of them stood in formation, but not in confidence. No weapons were drawn, no threats issued. They were nervous. A single one stepped forward. Taller. Bulkier. A leader, perhaps. We need your help, it said, voice clicking, mandibles shifting awkwardly over unfamiliar syllables. I tilted my head, studying it. You woke me up for help. The creature nodded. The galaxy is on the brink. The warlords are rising. Chaos spreads. The council is gone. No one can stop what is coming. I inhaled deeply. The scent of desperation was thick in the air. But there was more. Something deeper. Something they weren't telling me. You think I can stop it? A hesitant pause. We know you can. A slow smirk pulled at my lips. They were right. They had no idea what they had just unleashed. I took another step forward, and the group recoiled slightly. Their fear was intoxicating. Then you will obey me, I said, voice low, firm. If you want my help, you will follow my commands without question. You will not hesitate. You will not falter. They exchanged nervous glances. The leader hesitated, then lowered its head in submission. As you command. I exhaled, rolling my shoulders, feeling the weight of centuries return to me. Time to remind the galaxy why they feared me in the first place. The ship's corridors stretched before me, dimly lit and eerily silent. My footsteps echoed, a stark contrast to the hushed scuttling of the insectoids trailing behind me. They were obedient. For now. I could feel their gazes, hundreds of compound eyes watching my every move, their mandibles twitching in silent calculation. They feared me, and that was good. But fear alone wouldn't be enough to keep them in line. A door slid open ahead, revealing a sprawling command deck. Screens flickered with holographic projections, displaying sectors of the galaxy engulfed in turmoil. Planets burning. Fleets shattered. The aftermath of a power vacuum too great to be ignored. I took a seat in the central chair. Fitting. I had been away too long. The leader approached cautiously. Our people have waited for this moment. The galaxy is in chaos. Without the council, warlords rule unchecked. We have gathered intelligence, data on every major faction. But no force has the power to restore balance. I leaned back, studying the display. No force, except me. A murmur rippled through the gathered insectoids. Some shifted uncomfortably. Others straightened, their antennae twitching with anticipation. The leader exhaled, a clicking sound escaping its mandibles. We have contacts, resources, but we lack direction. We need a leader. A strategist. A warrior. I smirked. And you think waking me was the best decision? A hesitation. Then, you are the only one the galaxy still fears. Good. I gestured toward the screen, scanning the major players. The warlords were predictable. They had always been. They ruled by brute force, by intimidation. They saw power as a weapon rather than a tool. Amateurs. We need to make a statement, I said, rising from my seat. We need a target. Something that will shake the foundation of these warlords. Something unforgettable. The leader hesitated before nodding. We have an idea. A new image flickered to life, a fortress world, heavily fortified, home to one of the largest remaining strongholds. A bold move. A dangerous one. But it would send a message. I ran a hand over my face, feeling the weight of the coming war settle into my bones. Prepare the fleet, I ordered. It's time to remind the galaxy who I am. The fleet surged through the void, a silent storm of steel and power. My insectoid crew moved with precision, their fear of me tempered by something new, belief. They had taken my command as law, and in their multifaceted eyes, I saw an understanding. The galaxy was about to change. The fortress world loomed ahead. A bastion of tyranny, ruled by one of the warlords who had risen in the council's absence. It was a fortress built to withstand sieges for years, but they had never planned for me. The bridge pulsed with activity as data poured in. Defensive turrets, planetary shields, fleet formations, each a piece in a game I had played before. My gaze swept over the projections. Their forces were strong, but they were used to fighting enemies who played by the rules. I didn't play by the rules. Activate the decoys, I commanded. Make them think we're coming from 3 different vectors. The leader of the insectoids, now my second-in-command, nodded sharply. Yes, Commander. A series of false readings rippled across enemy scanners, mimicking entire battle groups moving toward them from multiple directions. I watched as their fleet adjusted, repositioning to counter threats that didn't exist. They're taking the bait, I muttered. Fools. A secondary force, a real one this time, slipped through the gaps in their defenses, skimming close to the planetary shields before unleashing a pulse bomb. The moment it detonated, the fortress's shield flickered and sputtered, its energy grid destabilized just enough for my main fleet to slip through like a dagger to the throat. Alarms blared across enemy communications. I could almost hear the panic setting in. Bring us in close, I ordered. Ground teams, deploy. Dropships streaked through the planet's atmosphere, descending like meteorites. I watched from the bridge as our forces landed, blasting through the fortress walls with calculated brutality. The warlords' forces scrambled to respond, but they were outmatched, outthought, and soon out of time. I turned to my second-in-command. Patch me through to their leader. A moment later, a screen flickered to life, revealing the warlord, a scaled, reptilian creature with burning red eyes. There was no bravado in his gaze, only calculation. He knew who I was. He knew what this meant. You've made your point, he growled. Now what? I leaned forward, my expression cold. Now, you kneel. Or you burn. A long silence. Then, slowly, the warlord lowered his head. Submission. The first of many to come. I exhaled, the weight of the moment settling in my chest. The galaxy had forgotten what it meant to fear me. They were about to remember. The fortress had fallen. The warlord's forces had surrendered, and the planet, once an unshakable bastion of tyranny, now stood under my control. The scent of victory lingered in the air, but I knew this was only the beginning. The galaxy would not bow in a single day. The insectoid soldiers moved efficiently, securing the stronghold, their eyes filled with a mixture of awe and wariness. They had followed me into the storm, and now they stood at the eye of it, waiting for my next move. The warlord knelt before me, his reptilian form still, his scales dulled with defeat. He had fought to carve his empire from the remnants of a broken galaxy, and now, he faced something he had never anticipated, a force greater than himself. "You've won," he admitted, his voice low. "What now?" I met his gaze, considering my answer carefully. The galaxy had spent centuries in the grip of arrogance, greed, and war. Leaders had hoarded power, believing it their right to rule, rather than their duty to serve. And every empire that had risen had eventually crumbled under its own weight. The truth was simple. Power was not meant to be held, it was meant to be used. "You will rebuild," I said, my voice steady. "Not for yourself. Not for the illusion of control. But for those who have suffered under your rule. You will serve, not command." The warlord's expression tightened. "And if I refuse?" I stepped closer, my presence towering over him. "Then your empire dies with you." A long silence followed. Then, finally, he bowed his head, acceptance in his eyes. The message was clear, this was not just conquest. This was a new order, built on the ruins of the old. I turned to my second-in-command. "Send the transmission. The warlords will hear of this. They will understand what's coming." She nodded and relayed my command, her mandibles clicking with purpose. Across the galaxy, factions would watch, listen, and decide. They would either join willingly or face the same fate as the fallen tyrant before me. As I gazed upon the horizon, a quiet realization settled within me. The fight had never been about conquest. It had never been about ruling. It had been about something greater. Balance. For too long, the galaxy had been shaped by those who took without consequence, who crushed the weak under the weight of their ambition. But now, things would change. I had been woken from my slumber to restore order, and I would see it done. Not with endless war. Not with unchecked power. But with the understanding that true strength lay in discipline, in justice, in purpose. As the sun set over the ruined fortress, I allowed myself a breath of certainty. The galaxy had feared me for centuries. Now, they would learn to respect me. And in time, perhaps they would learn something more important. Hope.